I know you boys have been waiting for me to talk about my panties. I know, calm down. You know, I named this the Big Panty Tour. I've done 100 cities. This is winding it down. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And people ask me all the time, why'd you name this Big Panty Tour? And I tell people, I like big panties. Big panties say to me, freedom. Comfort. I was wearing these tiny panties for years and they were cutting me in two. I thought, who are these for? Little children? I love, boys, are y'all watching? I love a high-cut brief. I love a high-cut brief, and I like it to come over my stomach. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the kind that I wear are called Vanity Fair lingerie. Beyond comfort. Beyond comfort. And they are soft and luxurious, and they don't ride up. They stay out of my crack. I don't want anything in my crack. I know, love them, okay. But I want you boys to know that I've held on to some tiny little hateful panties. And I've kept them in a drawer, and I get those out every once in a while in case some bills need to get paid, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's biblical. He came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, what y'all been doing? And he said, we've been watching a movie, and we were kissing. I said, oh, that's normal. That's okay. But I said, baby, you know, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. You know, things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, you know. Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. Let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying, I swear I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was at getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing. And then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, where is she? And I said, I don't know. And he said, does she have any money? And I said, I don't know. Nobody ever said another word. The reason why I'm so in love with him, he's an old soul. Have y'all ever known anybody that was just born an old soul? He was born an 80-year-old man. All right, let me tell y'all why I say that. He has had a garden since he was in middle school. He has just always loved to learn and had all these nifty things that he's been into. Like he raised chickens. He was in Berry College. They have enterprises, business enterprises, and he started the Cage-Free Egg Enterprise. He raised 200 chickens while he was in college. Do y'all want to know what I was doing at the University of Tennessee in the 80s? I mean, let's just get it out of the way. Have I made out with anybody in here? Anybody? I was in terrible sin. And I was down at Gabby's on the Strip. I don't know if any of y'all remember that in Sodom and Gomorrah. I was dancing to Prince, but anywho. So anyway, all right, so he had his own garden. He now cans his own food. He can can food. Are y'all listening to me? He loved gospel bluegrass in high school. Honey, that was his favorite music that he loved. So I brought him to Dr. Ralph Stanley. I don't know if y'all remember Dr. Ralph. He just passed away, 90-something years old, godfather of Mountain. So I brought my son to the Bijou to see him. They propped little Dr. Ralph up on stage. Looked like he had a permanent. Almost threw my panties at him because that's what you do at Tom Jones. Anywho, so we're sitting out in the audience while Dr. Ralph's up here singing, and I thought, how many teenage boys are listening to this? Gospel bluegrass. What are they listening to, real teenage? You know, all right, Walk a Flock of Flame. Rihanna, Lady Gaga, all that nasty goings on. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had to yell at my boy, turn that gospel bluegrass down. You're out of control. If I hear I Saw the Light one more time. All right, did y'all have a good Easter? Yay! All right, let me tell y'all, I had everybody at my house and I was exhausted. And I thought, I don't know if I want to be, I'm the person now because everybody else has gotten too old. And so they said, it's on you now. And so, I like to cook and all that, but it's a lot getting ready and all that ice in the glasses and all that. And my little mother-in-law, Gail, who is darling, who loves to cook, we were talking about our menu, and I said, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I said, let's do a tenderloin. And then we talked about deviled eggs, you know, all that, and Tess, my baby, said, we need to get a ham, maybe a spiraled ham, and Gail went. She goes, this is just my opinion. And we thought, what is she about to talk about? P. Diddy? We were like, she goes, it's just my opinion, but I think a ham that has not been spiraled tastes better. She goes, that's just my opinion. She goes, that's just my opinion. We were like, it's okay, Gail, you can tell us that. I'm in love with my girls. I'm in love with them, and they're my best friends, especially as they get older. I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But he has been from heaven. Okay, it's so wonderful. All right, well, he got married in September, and when he started bringing his wife around us, he would say to me, you have a terrible look on your forehead. And I would say, what? I don't know what you're talking about. But he said, Mom, she's my best friend, and I want to marry her. They met in college at Berry College, and he said, she's going to be my wife. And so I tried to, it wasn't anything against her. It was anybody that was going to come in and take my boy, because he's the best thing that's ever, all right, he's like the best of their daddy. He's like everything their daddy can't be. Does that make sense? So right before the wedding, he said, Mom, she is my immediate family now. You're my extended. I'm supposed to cleave to my wife. That's biblical. And I said, why did I show him the Bible? But they had a beautiful wedding, and really, when I got in there and the Holy Spirit was there and God was in it, and I knew they were supposed to be together, and I love her. I mean, I love her. She's like another daughter to me now. And but I was freaked out. But everything is okay now. And then I got to thinking, how psycho am I that I want to keep him forever and have him live in the basement and be a weirdo? You know, that's twisted. So I was able to let him go. And I love her. She's like another child to me. I praise God that Weight Watchers doesn't have a limit on how many times you can join. Because I've done Weight Watchers 9 times. And I've lost 7 pounds in all. It's because I don't follow it. And I know it works. I really do. I know it works, but I go more for the comedy at the meetings. I don't know if y'all have ever been to a Weight Watchers meeting, but it is so funny. Okay, like everybody comes up with recipes. Like the other day, we were there, and a woman goes, okay, if you put a teaspoon of cocoa and an egg white and put a dollop of water in it and pray over it and put it in the microwave, you've got chocolate cake. And we've all got our iPhone out and trying to film her. And then somebody will get up and they'll go, oh my gosh, y'all, there's fat-free chocolate mint ice cream, but you can only find it at the Harriman Walmart. And people start throwing chairs and like running in a panic. This is what I figured out about myself. Okay, I eat, and I think it's because I'm from sweet country farming people. We value our children and what we've grown to eat and what we've killed. So my people use food for everything. If you're happy, if you're sad, if whatever. I mean, a celebration, woo, okay. And I know I've done that, and I know that I eat emotionally, but I never wanted to ride around in a minivan on dope or alcohol with little children in the car. I didn't want to drink whiskey, so my kids would get to fighting, and my husband would say something hateful like, "What have you done all day?" And that would make me so mad, and I'd eat a hot dog, and I didn't even know what happened. But Weight Watchers has a point system. So say you get like 23 points out of the day, and you got to go within those points, and they'll say, fruits and vegetables are free. You don't want fruits and vegetables. When you first start, you're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the wall. A chicken breast is 3 points. A Snicker bar is 12 points. That's what you want. I've been known to be in the closet turning a lamp on and off, eating a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. So I try to stay within my points. All right, my sister will go on it every time I will, and she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she'll call me and she'll say, it's noon, and I've eaten all my points. So they said, you're going to, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they tell you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, "You are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread?" But Church of God Beacon, I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out and I thought, oh my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. Oh, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back. And my husband, okay, so I put it on 67, and he says, I can see my breath, and that's a lie. But he's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage, and we've got 2 beagle hounds that we're in love with because his children are gone. And so we've got a big one, and he takes the big beagle and spoons the big beagle at night. And I've got the little beagle, the little pocket beagle that we rescued, and she's got a nervous tick and eats our furniture and our fabric like a goat. But anyway, they sleep in the bed with us, and the bed is so nasty. Okay, so the little beagle, so he's spooning the big one. The little beagle backs her little butthole up to my head. And sleeps up against me all night. I love her. And in the morning, I can hear my husband when he gets up, he's kissing that big beagle and he's going, and I'm so thankful. The only thing about having them in the bed, really, is I tried those eyelash extensions. I paid a lot of money for those, but beagle hair would end up in them, and it itched real bad, so I had to let them fall out. But anyway,
I'll tell y'all a little bit about myself. My husband and I met in college while he was stalking me. I think y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you? He was so tickled with me. He was on fire for me. That he bought me presents for no reason, no special occasion. You boys know what he was after, don't you? I think you young boys call it milkshake. He wanted up in my yard to get my milkshake. He got it, okay? I married him, had 3 children by him. Things change when you've been married 100 years, doesn't it? Now I have to give birth to get a pair of earrings. Vaginal trauma, fine jewelry. Okay, it's a deal. My husband and I were at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I was getting my undergraduate degree, and he was getting his MBA, and I thought, oh my gosh, he is so smart. He can reconcile a checkbook. We're going to have a good life. No telling where we're going to go and what we're going to do and the glamour. Well, we graduated, and he decided to buy a used mobile home business in Bean Station, Tennessee. Is this thing on? I said a used mobile home business. Do y'all know where Bean Station, Tennessee is? Oh, it's at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Have you ever seen Deliverance? Maybe you young people sing Sling Blade. Because I know y'all haven't watched Deliverance. Well, he moved me up there. And I think I've got cedar fever. You think that ice would have killed it. But anyway, what was I saying? He moved me up there, and he wanted me to be in sales for him in the mobile home business. So I did that day. Until I saw a family drive up in a Gremlin with the window down and a 9-year-old smoking a cigarette. She lit it off of her Milo. So I quit that day. And I went home and I got pregnant that night.
have y'all ever heard of that book, 5 Love Languages? It is wonderful, and it works. It's the real deal. My husband and I went on a Sunday school class retreat when our children were little, and we watched this little frail man talk about it. Okay, and it was on Oprah, so you know it's real. But anyway, what it is there's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language, and they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work, and they're at the water fountain, and some whore comes in. And feeds their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Y'all know where I'm going with that? It's a disaster. So, there's 5 love languages. There's quality time. You just can sit and watch ESPN with somebody, you know, which I don't want to, but I mean, you just sit with somebody. Okay, then there's gifts. And you can just give them a card and they feel loved. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Okay, then there's physical touch. And most women in here will go, oh my gosh, that's my husband's. Physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But it's not that kind of nasty. I'm talking about, you know, like there's people that just want to hug you and kiss you and squeeze you and they got to hold your hand. That's the physical touch they're talking about. Okay, then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you are a good mama. Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then my love tank feels full, and then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him.
I had 3 babies in 4.5 years. Woo, it's right. It hurt, my darling. I was pregnant and or breastfeeding for 6 straight years in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And the mountain people would say to me, don't you know what causes that? And I said, yes, but I needed the money. See, I was a stay-at-home mom. Money is power and power is money. I didn't have either one. So I had to prostitute myself to my husband for straight right shoes. You've had to too, my darling. Listen, honey, there is nothing to be ashamed of. A mama's got to do what a mama's got to do. How was your Christmas? Okay. Did you have to do something nasty for Santa Claus? My children got a trampoline. My darling. And it happened in a Dodge Ram in a mobile home lot in Greenville, Tennessee.
Okay, y'all, my baby child is 20 and lives in Knoxville. Okay, years ago, we wanted all these children to play sports, you know, to keep them off of dope. And so they played all this stuff, all of them did. And my husband's 6'4", I'm 5'8". We breed big kids. So she, in elementary school, was like 5'5", 5'6". She was taller than all the little children and the principal and the teachers, and she hated it. But the good news is she's very athletic, very strong. So all over East Tennessee, people would call me and say, can she be the goalkeeper for our soccer team? I'll get her an iPhone. Yeah. Can she play basketball for us? She never played basketball. And you know, y'all, I lived through her. And I made her do it. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. And so she came to me and she goes, I'm sick of this. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to play all this mess. She goes, I've decided that I want to cheer. And I said, well, baby, we're big people. And I said, we don't tumble, but I'll figure something out. Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the ugliest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're going to pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're going to have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay. All right. One of my girls said I look like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball in my Spanx. But anyway, so she throws these little children up. The little children she's throwing up in the air are the flyers. They call them the flyers. And they're freakishly tiny little children. I don't know where these people come from. Their mamas are freakishly tiny. I mean, I come from big people. I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. And the whole time she's throwing them up in the air, these little girls are going. Nobody knows why, really. So at the end of the routine, after the 2.5 minutes, the finale, everybody hunkers down on the stage, puts their forehead on the stage, and my baby is the finale. She pops up and has a little child's foot in her hand and holds that child's foot. I would put it all the way up, but my dress is tight in the back. But anyway, she holds this little child up over her head. Are y'all listening to me? I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, could you hold her up over your head or vice versa? I mean, you know, it's a big deal. So anyway, everybody went nuts. But she said, after it was over, she goes, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go back to playing. She ended up playing volleyball the rest of her childhood. But she said, I'm keeping that whore outfit. She said, I'm going to get married in it. All right, let me tell you that my boy, all my children are yummy, and I'm in love with them, and I love my girls, and I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. Because he is now since married and gone off with his wife and her people. And that's what boys do. They cling to their wife. That's biblical. He said to me, Mom, she is now my immediate family. You are my extended. That's what he said to me right before they got married. And he said, Mom, that's biblical. I'm supposed to cling to my wife. And I thought, why did I show him the Bible? Well, he has always been spiritually mature. We call him our little Billy Graham. My husband and I, we didn't do it. God did it. I'm full of sin. Okay. I've been washed in the blood, but I've been a horrible, horrible person. Not too bad, but okay. So this baby has been just like an old man all of his life. Let me give you an example. He had a little girlfriend in high school, and he would go over to her house and they'd watch movies. And he came home one night and he used to tell me everything. And I said, what y'all been doing? He said, well, we've been watching television and kissing on the couch. And I said, okay, baby, okay. That's all right, that's normal. But I said, you know, before you know it, you've got your hand on somebody's leg, your arm around, and you know, things can get out of control. And I just say, slow it down. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's gonna happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship on a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now, because I could get a new purse out of that. Okay, y'all, have you ever heard of lock-in? I know everybody in here that has been from Chattanooga has probably been raised in church. Okay, I don't know who that little darling, sweet fool was that came up with the lock-in. Probably a little woman in a committee meeting. And she probably said, oh gosh, y'all, let's come up with something for all the hormonal teenagers. Let's gather them up and put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you gotta know something, you gotta know it right then. I had no right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me, he said, what, is it positive? And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could, and I called my husband at work. And I said, you're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to... Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me. But let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord, did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody. Just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did, because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, anybody here who has more than 2, you know, good night by that 3rd and 4th one, you got to let them do what they got to do, you know. She still cries over anything. She cries because she knows she gets her way. I said, what's she crying about? She wants your toy. Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it.
You made a decision not to quit.
And I tell you, my manager at the time said, Leanne, there's this company in Salt Lake City, Dry Bar. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's a clean comedy platform. Nobody's ever heard of it. I remember him saying these words to me, nobody will ever see it. But they want you to do a special. They'll pay you a couple of $1,000s. They'll give you a hotel room. You're going to be in Dubuque, Iowa, doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon. That's how bad my career was going. I was doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon in Dubuque, which, let me say, there's some of the prettiest people in Dubuque, Iowa. I don't know who those people are. They're beautiful. But they didn't even hire me to do the nighttime thing. I was the luncheon. You know, I barely got enough money to get out there on a tiny plane with propellers at like where I thought I was going to go down. But, and he said, why don't you just scoot on out to Salt Lake City and do that, and we'll get clips. If anything, we'll get clips for you to get more Dubuque of Iowa luncheons. I'm not kidding, that's what he said to me. He had hit a wall, he didn't know what to do, and I was like, okay. And I went out there and did that Dry Bar thinking, this is nothing. But that I don't know, it's gotten like 50 million views. And that really didn't translate into ticket sales. Like, I still couldn't get booked in clubs. They would book me in a club, but they would say, we love her. She doesn't get drunk and fight in the parking lot, but she can't sell tickets. You know, that's what they'd say. We love her, she's sweet, love her, can't sell tickets. And then, so the Dry Bar thing, I was getting all these views and fans and stuff, but it wasn't translating into ticket sales and all that.
Yeah.
And then I said to my manager at the time, when I say that because I'm no longer with him, because I said to him, all the people that I admire, all the people that I love to watch and that I'm a fan of have got social media people. And that's the new thing. And I think I should hire these people to do my social media. And he was like, you can't afford that and you don't need to do that. And I went against him. And it was a lot of money, but I invested in myself. And you know, Halloran, I've done comedy for 22 years, but I was a mama first. And every dime I made, I bought uniforms with it. I got everybody's hair cut. I never invested in a website for myself. I had like 2 headshots in 20-something years because it was just, I don't know, that wasn't good business on my part, but I just put everything into my children. That was what I did. And then at this point, in 2019, I thought, I'm going to hire these and I'm going to give it 3 months. I'm going to give these boys, these young boys, 3 months. And if it doesn't happen after that, I'll bow out of comedy. I knew I was going to have a grandbaby. Charlie got married right out of college. I knew they were going to have a bunch of babies. And I'm from the country. I wanted to be a meemaw. And I thought, I'll go to work at Target. I'm not kidding. I thought, I'll go to work at Target and I'll put bedding up in the back on those things. That looks fun. I really did. I thought, I'll just bow out of this.
You were about to tap out.
Yeah, I thought, I'm going to give it this. And then, because I had worked, my manager got me in some clubs. I couldn't sell tickets. I could tell they were like, oh, she's one of those dry bar comics. Like I was really not a legit comic. And over the years, like Comedy Central wouldn't have anything to do with me, I would get no's from all of them. And so I thought, maybe I'm not legit. Maybe this is it. This is the end of the road. And they put out one video about me taking Chuck Morgan to go see Def Leppard and Journey at Thompson Bowling Arena. And I talked about how, and I had filmed that. I had never done that bit before. I did it one time in Chattanooga. Somebody got it on film. Those boys put it out. And I've talked about old people at concerts and how everybody had plantar fasciitis and was worried about the snack bar. And everybody there is our age. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. And it went viral. And it was like a fire. Somebody lit a fire, and I could feel it. I could feel it in a wave go through my body. I knew what was happening. I was in New York City. We were moving my baby into school she went to school for makeup for television and film. We were in a tiny hotel room, and I said, I think something is happening. And Chuck said, the Uber's here. Get the luggage and let's get out. Everybody was worried about moving her in her apartment. And in my heart, I thought, oh my gosh, something is happening. And I could feel it, physically feel it. Does that make sense? I physically felt something. I thought, oh my gosh, I knew it. I saw thousands of people sharing. Well, people saw that and started looking at everything else that I had online that liked that. And then my manager called and said, they want to book you back in Orlando. They want to book you in Tampa. They want you to come to Chicago. And I started selling out all over the United States. It happened I'm not kidding, in 2 to 3 weeks, my life changed. Is that not the craziest thing? It's so much more special and wonderful than anything I ever thought it was going to be.
The reason I'm sitting here and just absorbing what you're saying, and hopefully not stepping on what you're saying, is because I saw it happen. And I'm so proud of you for not quitting.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
For not giving up, for believing in the possibility. So it starts to happen. 100-city tour?
Yes. So I was selling out all over the United States in comedy clubs. One-nighters, and then and people were lined up, and these comedy club people were like, where have you been? Your audience is the best audience we've ever seen. They're not rowdy. We don't have to calm anybody down. They're not fighting. It would be, and this is what was special, it would be a grandmama, like an 80-year-old woman who's never been to a comedy club. Her daughter, 50, and then her daughter, like 25. And they said, we've never seen this before. And I would see these little elderly people sitting in the front row with a little brooch on coming to a comedy club. and I'd think, I can't even believe this. And I really messed with my head, and I thought, I need to go home with every one of them and clean their house and make them a casserole. I really did. And put in a load of wash. Because they're coming out and doing this for me. Because it had been years, where I could not, comedy clubs, I worked comedy clubs, like 5 or 6 a year would book me, but most of them were like, I didn't come up in them, so they didn't want me. So anyway, that was all crazy. And then my agent called me. Somebody begged, my manager begged somebody to take me as an agent. I was selling out all over the United States, and they still didn't want me. And I don't know if it's because I was a 50-something-year-old woman from Tennessee. I don't know what it was, but they had to beg a guy, like a favor, can you take her as her agent? And so he took me, sweet young guy, and they call me and they go, Outback Concerts out of Nashville, Tennessee, which I've known Mike Smartack and Brian Dorfman for 20 years. I've always wanted to be in business with them. They did the Blue Collar Tour, and they do all the comedians that you've ever loved. Called me and they said, we want to give you a 50-city tour. Put it on sale, sold out. They said, we're going to give you another 50. So that was the 100-city tour, and I named it the Big Panty Tour. So this baby, let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing, and then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, where is she? And I said, I don't know. And he said, does she have any money? And I said, I don't know. Nobody ever said another word. Let me tell you about this baby. We are becoming the best of friends, really, because she's now 21 years old, and she has always been a beauty and so smart and fun and hateful. Okay, so now she not to other people. She holds it in when she's in public so that she can come home and let it out on me. And that's okay, I'm her safe person. And I believe that God allows this when your children get in about, I don't know, junior and senior in high school, because He knows that you're grieving, because they're going to leave. And He knows that you're going to take to the bed over it. So, their junior and senior year, something happens. And they change on you. And they get to be the meanest people you've ever been around. So by the time they're ready to leave, you kick their crap out onto the curb. Her junior year, this started, okay. The very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home. Because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. And I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had a lot on her, like she had to empty the dishwasher. And that's a lot, you know. I'll give y'all an example. Okay, at the University of Tennessee in her sorority, these girls will come home, you know, and I'll cook for them and do, and I'm tickled. All right, well, they like Memphis, Nashville girls. Well, a little girl came home with her and spent 2 nights. So I washed that little thing's clothes, and all I said to this little girl was, Katie, you're so tiny. Your little underwear looks like a slingshot. That little girl thought it was funny, and my baby went. So I got out of there. So when that little girl left, I came back in, I went, what's wrong with me saying that her little panties look like a slingshot? I wish somebody'd say my panties look like a slingshot. My panties looked like... Have y'all ever seen Mel Gibson in Braveheart? You know when they pull that big ball out and that thing looks like it's a catapult. They pull that big ball, fling it, and kill a bunch of children with it. That's what my panties look like. Do y'all know who owns Victoria's Secret? I used to buy my panties at Victoria's Secret, but they started cutting me in two. All right. Do y'all know who, seriously, do y'all know who owns it? Satan. Okay, so there's 2 things on this earth that make him happy. A clean house and sex. Oh, lucky me. He said, well, if you don't start taking care of my needs, I guess I'm going to have to get a girlfriend. I said, oh, dear Lord, say it's not so. I said, well, make sure that she's stout and that she can mow, because I need some help.